Hi, welcome to the 39th. My name is Lark, and you are not reading this, you are watching this. And that's a big deal for me because she can probably pick up I'm a little nervous. Look at that. I'm not really shaking. But, as you know, I've been gone for a little bit. I just like, hey, I'll write these blogs in this such and such an order, and then life is all like, nah, no man, not really. So, I've been away and I've been writing this blog about the president. The outgoing one, not the incoming one. I will not touch that. I'll write about that maybe later, but I kept finding myself just deep and deep and deep enthralled in this research, documentary after documentary, books, Facebook comments, just trying to get every ounce of perception that I could from everybody, all different kinds of people, people that would be for the president, people that wouldn't be for the president, all kinds of things about the president, and I found that I just could not write it down. Like, it was too much. It was too much in my head. I couldn't write it down. There was a lot. So I decided that I would record my sentiments as one, maybe an easier way to get everything out. Because I can get a little wordy when I talk with my hands. And I don't know, I wanted you to get used to my face, because this is my face, you've always seen in pictures, and this is what I sound like. Hopefully it's not atrocious, but on with the thing here. I want to preface this by saying I am a no party. I kind of don't understand the bicameral thing. I mean, I get it, but when you have two parties and you have two systems, that's so limited, and people don't really choose to work together because they think they're so different. But anyway, that's a personal opinion. I do not cater to political biases. So if you're a person that's super duper Obama and you're like, oh, you're not doing it enough justice, why don't you just say he's the best president ever? And to the people who are like, oh, Barry's the worst president ever, yeah, you know what? Educate yourself. So, without further ado, this is my rendition of kind of an open letter about legacy, about the legacy of Barack Obama. So, without further ado, here we go. Dear President Barack Obama, you were inaugurated when I was 15 years old. And I remember watching your inauguration on television at school, and everyone just asking, what does this mean? The first president of color, a black man, our president. And for some people who spouted their parents' views, it was the worst thing ever. And for some people that spouted their parents' views, it was the best thing ever. But honestly, I didn't believe a bunch of 15-year-olds or 14-year-olds really knew the tides in terms of the state of the world in 2008. All we knew was that someone who did not fit a traditionalist American image was elected president, and that in itself was the biggest thing ever. I remember listening to people say things, and this was later 2009, oh, you know, the housing crisis, Barack Obama's fault, that we're in a recession, blah, 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 he hasn't fixed it. And I remember learning about what sent us over the edge, and about the 2008 bubble that was a housing crisis because they were loaning houses to people who, you know, couldn't afford them, and it caused a bubble, and it caused an economic crash, as it would, and the president at the time was George Bush. But I guess that brings me to my next point, which this whole thing is about, is even the housing bubble wasn't George Bush's fault. And anybody that's taken a civics class understands the president is not the entire government. So when people talk about legacy, I kind of get fiery. Each man that's taken the office of president has been a person. I don't believe in great man history. That's why I have such a big quaff with Ronald Reagan, or the Teflon president, as he's been so cheerily regarded as. But Mr. President, your legacy is humanness. You never claimed to be a great man, a super down-home cherry pie American. Well, one, because you couldn't be, because you don't look like what we've been used to. You never will, and you never really can. Your legacy is challenged because you challenged people to think, what do I think of when I think of the face of America? See, I'm not going to get all deep into legacy here. I'm going to get into the fact that if you haven't noticed that there's been a huge change in the American landscape because of this man, you live under a rock. I have never before in my lifetime seen so many people, color, women, gay people, just coming out of the cracks and being people. The legacy of challenging ourselves to look outside of our own neighborhoods, outside of our own doors, were brought about with this presidency. Mr. President, you forced us to choose to either look past people's differences and to learn about cultures and things that were different than ours, or to self-isolate and be like, nah, you're the worst president ever. I don't choose to think about anything other than what I'm used to. And you can't make me. You're not taking my guns. I can't get into legacy because history has to tell your legacy. You were just one man. Your predecessors, your congressmen, the tide of the world at the time. That will tell your legacy. But the one thing that I don't think anyone can argue with is this. Through all the scrutiny, through all the horrible things that people said, and nothing to do with politics, to the rude things they said about your wife, your children, your heritage, the way they insulted you with claims of not even being born in this country. And you held it with respect and dignity and honor. You never stooped down to name-calling, to just sheer attitude. You handled it. I don't even know how you handled it. And that, to me, is a big representation of our values as Americans. So thank you, sir, for your dedication to our country, even when you didn't get the respect that you deserved as our leader. Like I said, I won't talk about legacy. To some people, your legacy will be wars in Syria, taking their guns, healthcare crisis, I don't know. And to some people, it'll be gay marriage, Lilly Ledbetter. I don't know. I can't determine your legacy. Each person will. But history will look back on you. It's probably one of the smoothest, slowest talking presidents we've ever had. And I'm grateful. And like I said, I'm not going to get into politics. This is just my personal thank you to a president that I've known since I was 15. But let's, real quick, y'all, not forget about that Recovery Act of 2009. Stopped us from going over the edge. You mems? You mems. I mems. So, yes. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the congressman and to your administration and your staff. And thank you for being optimistic about the future and wishing our next president well and championing peaceful transition of power. Because I love this country and it is my favorite thing in the world. And thank you for, again, challenging us to think, what does it mean to be American, to be patriotic, to love your country? So thanks, President Obama, and the First Lady, and the First Family. And this has been the 39th.